Alright guys, so in this video we're checking out the new Skyzone SKY04X FPV goggles. As you guys know, I switched recently to the Eachine EV300Os not too long ago, and basically, as I mentioned in that video, these Eachines are most likely a Skyzone rebrand, and as you can probably tell from this video, from the stuff I'm going to show you, it's going to be confirmed. So let me just show you the bottom here of the goggles next to each other. You can see everything is in the exact same spot. All the specs are exactly the same, with one huge exception, which I will explain very importantly momentarily. You have the same IPD and focus adjustments here. I'll put up the specs here up on the screen. -6 to +6 on the diopter focus adjustment. You have the head tracker, of course, as well. USB-C. You have power button here. Built-in H.264 DVR, HDMI in. You have two places for a receiver, so you have dual diversity, or two dual diversity receivers if you want. Now, on the Eachine, they called this receiver the Rapid Mix receiver, and then Skyzone is calling theirs the Steady View receiver. So basically, it's working the same way, or very similarly to the way Rapid Fire works in terms of merging two images together to create like a better image from the two different antennas that are on here. And as you probably saw from a previous video on the Eachine Rapid Mix receiver, I did a comparison of this receiver to the Rapid Fire, and you'll probably tell from that video that it's fairly comparable. Now, obviously, there's some things that are better on the Rapid Fire and some things that are better on this receiver, so you know your mileage will vary depending on what you're looking for. But I find that in terms of the overall value, this is going to be really good built into here with this goggle. And in terms of overall value compared to the HDO2s, I'll get into that here in a little bit. But basically, yeah, this is a pricey goggle at $499, but you do get the dual diversity receiver included in the price, which is not included in the HDO2 price at $499. And you also get the built-in H.264 DVR, which is much better than the one that is on the HDO2. The Fat Shark DVR is pretty bad. Now, here's the main difference between the Sky04X and the Eachine EV300Os. So the EV300Os, they came with a lot of the same kind of features and functionalities that the HDO2s came with, the adjustable IPD and focus adjustment that the HDO2 has. Obviously comes with the better DVR that the Skyzone comes with, but it came with the last generation, or basically like a year-old OLED screen from the Sky030. It's a very good screen, but it was a lower resolution at 1024 by 768. And you know, for me, it was fine. I actually flew totally fine on the Sky030 screen. It's the same screen, slightly larger field of view because the optics are a little different on the Eachine. But for the most part, it's the same lower resolution screen, which is fine it's going to be fine for most people. But for those of you looking for the higher resolution image of the HDO2s, you know, that people are like, hey, you know, it doesn't have that, so the HDO2s are still better. So this is what Skyzone has come up with. They've come up with the same resolution screen. It's a 1280 by 960 resolution screen. But I actually prefer the screen on the Skyzones over the Fat Sharks, even though they are the same resolution. And I mentioned this in previous videos, the way that the goggle is shaped and the faceplate is too narrow for me to get my eyes close enough to the screens or to the lenses so that I can get accurate focus on the outer edge of the image. So it's all blurry for me, even though the center is in focus. So basically the whole image, even though it's got a very large field of view, I'm not able to take advantage of the outer edges of the field of view because of the shape of my head and the shape of this faceplate, which is limiting. So this is the maximum limit in terms of the outer edges of this one. You can have that with the Skyzone with their narrow faceplate here. you can see it's pretty similar to the Fat Sharks, but they also have the wider faceplate here, which is perfect for my face, so I get my eyes right up to the lenses and absolutely no light leak anywhere on this. This fits me perfectly. So again, you know, with any FPV goggles, it's going to really depend on your eyes, your face shape, and all those things are going to be factors in terms of whether or not you can see. So while I can see really great on the Skyzones and not so great on the HDO2s, the complete opposite may be true for you. So, you know, your mileage may vary, and it's really going to depend on the person and their face and their eyes. So that is a big advantage for the Skyzones. It does have two different faceplates to accommodate different face shapes and sizes, and that will help in terms of getting a better focus. Now, in addition to the IPD adjustment on the Skyzones, I think it's also about the same as the Fat Sharks, but the focal length adjustment is actually wider. It's like a -6 to a +6, whereas in the HDO2s, I think it's only it's a +2 to a -6. So it's not as wide of a range in terms of the focal length adjustment. And then the other thing that I found was really amazing is how large the opening here is on the optics, the lens here, which allows you to see more of the screen. So I don't know what the exact screen size is, the dimensions are of either of these goggles. If someone knows, let me know in the comments. But because of this opening is a little bit wider, it's about 20 millimeters from the edge of the plastic to the edge of the plastic here. On the HDO2s, this opening is 18 millimeters. So I think that's another reason why I'm having trouble seeing the whole image, because part of the sides are blocked by this. You know, part of it is I can't get my eyes close enough, and then the second part is that the lens opening here is smaller. Now, on the EV300Os, this opening is even smaller. It's only 15 millimeters, but it's not a problem for me because I can get my eyes right up to it, and the screen is smaller, so the field of view is smaller, so I can see the whole screen on this one, no problem for me. Now, because the screen is bigger and has higher resolution, but because the opening is wider, I'm not having any of the sides of the plastic here covering up the edges of the screen. I can actually see the whole thing, and I can get my eyes right up to the lenses, so I can get a perfectly clear image and get perfect focal adjustment with the mechanisms here on the bottom, and it works really good. And this is actually the best goggle image I've ever seen on any goggle. Now, it's pretty similar to the way the Fat Sharks work. Like if you just account for the center of the image, it's pretty sharp and clear on both of them. It's fairly similar. The OLED screen on the Skyzone is significantly brighter. Now, this is just on stock settings. I didn't change any of the stock settings. Now, I don't think that the maximum brightness setting on the Fat Sharks can match the default settings on the Skyzones. But if you just look at the images here, I'll show you here what they look like through a FPV camera directly attached to the goggle. You'll notice what I'm talking about. The screen is a fair amount darker. Okay, so I got the new Foxeer T-Rex camera here, and I have this directly attached to the AVN on the goggle, so there's no VTX interference problems here. I just wanted to show you what the video looks like on the screens themselves, and I'll have a review of the Foxeer T-Rex camera a little bit later. But here is what the image looks like. And it's going to be hard getting the entire square box in there, but it is extremely sharp. And I've got very good lighting in here, so you can see how it's a fairly bright image even indoors. Let me just get that whole thing in there. And you can kind of see, this is really the, I guess the gold standard in terms of screen resolution, the 1280 by 960. That's what it looks like. Let's see what I'll show you what the Skyzones look like. Alright, so here's what the Skyzone image looks like. Same camera, and I can get the camera lens right up to the lens of the Skyzone lens in this goggle, so you pretty much see the entire square box. So for me, I can see this whole square box pretty much like you can see here in the video, but on the Fat Sharks, the outer edges of the image are not sharp. They're blurry for me. Yeah, it's fairly comparable, and to me, it looks a lot brighter, especially when you go outdoors in like cloudy conditions. These screens seem quite a bit brighter. Another thing is the fan noise on these Skyzones is significantly less than the Fat Sharks. Anyway, so that's pretty much going to cover for this video. If you want to see sort of what the receiver reception is like, I'll put a link to that Eachine EV300O Rapid Mix video versus the Rapid Fire video down in the description if you want to give an idea. Obviously, if you don't like this receiver, you can replace it, and then you can put 4 in here and have quadversity. So that's an advantage. The other advantage is you can have 2 different face plates here for wider or narrower faces. You have a wider opening for the lens here, same resolution screen, and you have a much better DVR in here, H.264 DVR. And the fact that the receiver is built in and included in the cost of this is a pretty big advantage, because they get basically something similar in terms of the HDO2 setup. You have to get the HDO2s plus the rapid fire module for 150, so it's 500 plus 150, 650 plus, if you want to get similar DVR quality, you have to add on the PowerPlay DVR, which is another $100. So we're talking about $750 in value for the Fat Sharks, with basically one size faceplate versus the Skyzones at $500 basically for everything. And I think you have a little more flexibility with the faceplate and more flexibility with the focus length adjustments. So it's going to be able to work with probably more people. And just overall, I just find it to be, just an overall better value than the HDO2s. Anyway, I think I rambled on long enough about this. This is going to be my daily goggle from now on. And if you're wondering if this works with the new Shark Bite system, I'll put a little photo up here of this basically attached to the front of here with some VHB. I can take it on and off pretty easily, and it works perfectly. You get a nice, really crisp image in the goggles. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.